live, the Domestic Estate Manager Studios in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It's the nation's #1 podcast series in the private service industry. It's time for DEMA Live. Now, here are your hosts, Matt and Mike. Hello and welcome back to another edition of DEMA Live. Today is a special edition as we're live on site at the office of David Stanislaw. David has been working with the Domestic Estate Managers Association over the last year and has had an opportunity to interview several of our estate managers that are members of the association about some of the different conflicts and ways to resolve those conflicts in a very professional manner. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce David, and we're going to discuss a little bit about conflict resolution. Hi David, how are you today?
Doing well, Matt.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with our members over the last year. I know you've made some phone calls to some of our members and talked with them a little bit about some of the conflicts that they've seen, and I think that we've had some interesting results.
I agree. Being able to talk with many of your managers around the country has really informed me as to some of the difficulties that many of them have run into and some of the problems they ended up having to cope with. One of the realities, I think, is that most people approach the subject of conflict with a great deal of fear and trepidation. They simply work to avoid it. One of the things that I feel very strongly about is that conflict is a very useful tool, and that being angry, being upset are not necessarily negative or bad things. In the end, it's a part of us as human beings that we from time to time feel angry or frustrated. The reality of what we do with it is really what matters.
Okay, all right, great. So how does one handle that fear and trepidation that we have when it comes time to handle a conflict? What's the best way that you've seen to really resolve that?
Well, the best tool I think we have is the ability to look inward and think about what it means to us to be involved in a conflict situation. For example, many times we're reacting out of the fear that the conflict is going to escalate into something that is unmanageable or just plain scary. The reality is that very few of us as adults have encountered those kinds of situations. So what we need to consider is, let's look at the reality of what we've experienced as adults, and allow us to think about the idea that conflict, people getting angry, me getting angry, is not such a catastrophic event. Instead, it's a signal. Something is going on that's very important, that has got me emotionally charged up, and now the question is, what is it about, and what do I want to do with it?
Okay.
It's imperative that we have the ability to think about these things instead of reacting with emotion. Primarily, we end up reacting with either fear or anger.
Okay. We hope that you've enjoyed today's interview with David Stanislaw. We look forward to talking with David once again in future DEMA Live interviews. And just wanted to personally reach out and thank you, David, for your time.
My pleasure. Good to be with you, man.
Absolutely. We appreciate having you. And for any of you that would like to reach out to him, obviously, please do that on his website. And until next time, we will see you, and we'll talk to you soon.